Shalom, shalom. Kol halalim la Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem HaKadosh. Brakti Yahweh, Brakti Hashai, Brakti Yahweh, Brakti Hashai, Brakti Yahweh, Brakti Hashai, Bahashem HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostles, elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the prophets of that body. Shalom to the 144,000 and 1/3. May peace and blessings be upon your households. Okay, so obviously this news is a few days old, but it did happen in the last 7 days or so. Alabama and Mississippi grappled with the tornado warnings issued on Sunday, while flash flood warnings were in effect for several counties across Kentucky, Mississippi, and Tennessee, according to AccuWeather. Power and gas were cut off. So, according to AccuWeather, power and gas were cut off in regions stretching from Texas to Ohio. Now, Texas is a huge landmass. You can fit the whole of the UK into Texas 5 times. So imagine the damage that Yahweh Shemeshai is doing to each state, to New Egypt, to New Babylon. At least 21 people reportedly killed after storm hits US. At least 21 people reportedly killed after storm hit US South and Midwest. A lot of the Edomite strongholds South and the Midwest, a lot of strongholds here for the Edomites. Edomite meaning the so-called white man. Okay. Days of severe storms leave 18 dead as rising rivers threaten U.S. Let's see what's going on. Days of severe storms leave 18 dead as rising rivers threaten U.S. and South Midwest. Slovakia. No more happy days for America. After days of intense rain and wind killed at least 18 people in the U.S. South and Midwest rivers rose, and flooding worsened on Sunday in those regions, threatening waterlogged and badly damaged communities. Utility companies scrambled to shut off power and gas from Texas to Ohio. Our cities closed roads and deployed sandbags to protect homes and businesses. Yeah, this is going to affect foot traffic for the few businesses that are left that people actually like to visit. Then repair jobs and whether insurance companies are actually going to pay out. I mean, wasn't there an issue with regards to the fires in California as well? Right? Certain insurance companies weren't paying out. So this is another jab Yahweh Shemeshai is doing into America to destroy it from the inside out. In Kentucky, downtown Frankfort, the state's capital, was inundated. As long as I've been alive, and I'm 52, this is the worst I've ever seen it, said Wendy Quire, the general manager at the Brown Barrel restaurant. As the swollen Kentucky River kept rising on Sunday, officials closed roads and turned off power and gas to businesses in the city built around it. Quire said, "The rain just won't stop." Well, same thing happened when Noah preached for many, 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 many years. When the rain came, it wouldn't stop either. But this time, the climax is going to be when that rain comes, it'll be fire, nuclear fire. The Lord Yahweh Shemeshai is jabbing at the moment, chucking a few jabs. Actually, a few pokes, not even a few jabs at the moment. A few touches, let's just say a few touches. The ongoing global climate crisis is bringing heavier rainfall and related. I mean, listen, Esau could have the harp machine, but who gave the technology to Esau for the harp machine? The Lord Yahweh Shemeshai controls everything, okay? The ongoing global climate crisis is bringing heavier rainfall and related flood risks to most parts of the U.S., with Upper Midwest and Ohio River Valley among the regions most affected, according to Climate Central, an independent non-profit that researches weather patterns. Forecasters warn that flooding could persist for days. I mean, this is going for a couple, for a few days last week. Okay. Flooding could persist for days as torrential rains lingered over many states, including Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama. Tornadoes are possible in Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, forecasters said. 18 reported deaths. Okay. 5-year-old boy in Arkansas died after a tree fell on his family's home and trapped him. Police said a 16-year-old volunteer firefighter in Missouri died in a crash while seeking to rescue people caught in the storm. Okay. There were 521 domestic international flights cancelled within the US, and more than 6,400 were delayed on Saturday, according to FlightAware.com. The website reported 74 cancellations and 478 delays of US flights early on Sunday. Obviously, as the news progresses daily, more and more the things, the figures pile up in damage. Officials warned of flash flooding and tornadoes on Saturday across Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Kentucky. All of eastern Kentucky was under a flood watch through Sunday. Okay. 1,000 homes destroyed. Okay. See, I'm just trying to pick up, get the meat from the bones here. More information. A lot to read, of course. All right. Let's see what else is here. Let's play this. By the way, fair use. Copyright 1976. Fair use. Okay. Let's go.
Apparently, there's one north and one south. Yeah. So be looking for things. All I see is a piece of plywood. We're gonna be 1097 in the area of the CMV. How far? There's caramel countertops there, though. Okay. Yeah, the front strip center looked fine. Wow. Yeah.
Okay, let's see any more footage if I can find it. 144. Residents fear another cold tip disaster. I was trying to go on Fox News. They basically deleted all the footage for some reason. Let's go here.
Historic and deadly four-day storm that battered parts of the South and Midwest. It left some areas underwater after more than a foot of rain fell, including Memphis. And that's where Morgan Norwood is with the latest. Good morning, Morgan.
Hey, good morning to you, Rebecca. The worst is over, but it really is the river flooding that has officials concerned this morning. Take a look. This is the Wolf River. It's pretty much overtaken this greenway here. And look how close we are to this road as well. There's a parking lot buried underneath all this flood water. You can kind of make out some of the signs sticking out. But take a look at this. Look how fast and swift this water is running. That is a current. And again, the big concerning this morning from officials is that all of that rainfall.
The Lord is burying your city, your towns and cities now the same way you Edomites buried, all the Black Wall Streets and all the Rosewoods and all the thousands of so-called Black Native American cities that are around America that came about after chattel slavery. When Jake was thriving. You know, the Lord is doing same to you now.
That we've received over the past 4 to 5 days in several states will continue to drain into waterways like this, and then the water levels will keep rising.
There goes a house.
Overnight, catastrophic flooding and severe storms across the South and Midwest. The death toll rising at least 20 people since last Wednesday. The latest victims, a father and a son in central Georgia, who were killed by a falling tree. Cars littering this Arkansas highway, stalled out by floodwaters. Water rescues across multiple states. First responders in Texarkana pulling people out of their cars. Memphis police responding to hundreds of calls reporting downed trees and flooding. This is a popular walking trail here in Memphis, and now it's essentially one with the Wolf River. And with these water levels still rising, there's concern of what happens next. Residents in Dyersburg, Tennessee, seeking shelter after a string of twisters struck the area.
There's just been so many tornadoes lately that it's just scary of the devastation in so many different places.
In Hardy, flash flooding destroying homes, roads washed away, and vehicles tossed by the current. All of this rain falling on communities already reeling from tornado damage. More than 90 tornadoes reported since last week. And since the system moved in, there have been more than 430 tornado warnings and more than 600 flash flood warnings. And let's talk flash flooding because it only takes a few inches to sweep your car away. That's why officials always say turn around, don't drown. Michael?
All right, thank you so much. That's true. Turn around, don't drown.
We turn now to the historic and deadly 4-day storm that battered parts of the South.
Storm over 4 days. 4 days. Let's go to some scriptures now, man. Actually, one more thing. Let me see. There was, where was that information I had? Yeah, check this out. 4-day storm. Right, so EFU is Enhanced Fujita Scale is a system used to classify tornado intensity based on the severity of damage caused by a tornado, ranging from EF0 weakest to EF5 strongest. Right now, April the 1st, April Fool Day. All right, location Salida. All the locations are on the left here. All right, different parts of the states. EF1, it's April the 1st. Started in the location Salida County, Stanislaus. Okay, state of CA, I believe that's California, right? You got EF1 there. Tulsa, look at that. So Tulsa also. The areas hit. Lordy, how about you? I'm just giving you a few pokes at the moment. EF1, EF5 is the most strongest. I mean, from our, from the eyes of a so-called human, I mean, that looked pretty damn powerful. Right, cars turned upside down, cars lodged in trees. This is all like no more than an EF3 tops. Okay, April the 3rd, EF0, EF3. Okay, all right. Majority have there been? There has been not one EF4 from what I've seen thus far. April the 6th. Damn, man. It's not... April the 7th. All the storms tracked over several days, man, last week. Yeah, but the storms, according to the news, were over a 4-day period. Probably the severe ones, but they've all been hitting everything the last several days last week. Okay, we got that information. All right, let's go to some scriptures, man. Isaiah 45, verse 7. All right, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yashai, do all these things. The Lord does it all, okay? There's no such, okay? The Lord does everything. You can say, okay, the so-called elites have got the heart machine. They're trying to destroy America. Yeah, but who gave that technology to the elites, so-called elites? Who gave that power to them? All right, because remember, Satan is also a son of God, but on the left-hand side, all right, he reports to Yahweh, okay, the Most High, okay, reports to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yashai, all right. So the Lord controls both spectrums, right and left, all right. Deuteronomy 32, verse 39. See now that I, even I, am He, and there is no God with me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. All right. You can't get out there. The Lord's going to get your ticket punched. You're going to get your ticket punched. There is no trying to avoid it. You've seen the movie Final Destination, right? They're trying to avoid their demise. They try every single angle, trying to get out of it. But in the end, what happens? They get their ticket punched one way or the other. All right. And that movie, Final Destination, I think there's about several of them. I think 6 movies, I think. All right. It just goes to show that, this scripture, Deuteronomy 32:39, is very real. You can't get out of the Lord's hand. If the Lord's going to take you out, the Lord's going to take you out. All right. So that is a fearful thing, paraphrasing the scripture. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power, man. Nahum 1 and 3. The Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yashai, is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. Okay. And as you saw in those what do you call them? A prelude to a concentration camp. You got all the Edomites there. I only saw one brown face there. All right. I mean, it's probably a couple of pale jakes amongst them, but majority are Edomites, strongholds of Edomites, those locations. A lot of them, you saw in those places where they were trying to get shelter, right? There were many Edomites. Yeah, so the Lord is really hitting up the strongholds of the Edomite nation, so-called white man. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. The Lord Yahweh Shemashai hath his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. Okay. So the Lord controls everything, man. The Lord makes his way in the whirlwind, man. The Lord is doing all these things. The Lord is, okay, the director, the producer, the Lord. This is the Lord's movie. All right. We watch movies all the time. Okay. Good characters, bad characters, whatever. All right. In the end, there's an ending to that story. Well, the ending to this story is coming because this is the end of Esau's. Listen, this is basically, there's a paraphrasing another scripture. There's a time to be planted and a time to be plucked. Paraphrasing, right? Okay. Now the Lord is plucking up Esau's kingdom. Actually, let me get that scripture first. Time to be planted, time to be plucked. KJV. Yeah, to everything there's a season. That's it. Ecclesiastes 3. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. All right, so the Lord is plucking up that which was planted. Esau's kingdom was given to him. He had rulership and domain over the planet Earth for a short while. Now the Lord is saying, okay, you've had your fun now. I'm taking everything back. And the Lord is doing it piece by piece by piece by piece. Okay. 1 Samuel 2:10. The adversaries of the Lord Yahweh Shemashai shall be broken to pieces. Out of heaven shall he thunder upon them. The Lord Yahweh Shemashai shall judge the ends of the earth, and he shall give strength unto his king, and exalt the horn of his anointed. Okay. The Lord is going to break. Who's a major adversary of the Lord, man? The enemies of Israel. Yeah. The stronghold, the so-called white man. And the heathen nations. Pursuant to Psalms 83, they've been trying to cut us off, so that now the Lord is what? Breaking them to pieces. All right. Jeremiah 13:23. Behold, the whirlwind of the Lord Yahweh Shemashai goeth forth with fury, a continuing whirlwind. It shall fall with pain upon the head of the wicked. And who was in that place getting shelter? A whole bunch of wicked Edomites, man. A lot of them have lost their comfort. They thought it was a nightmare. They thought that, like when you have a nightmare and then you wake up and you're on your bed, they were hoping that they'll wake up and they're probably saying to themselves, oh, I hope I wake up and I'm in bed and my warm pillow underneath my head, and I can turn over and I see my room and it's all clean and whatever, and I'm in the comfort of my home, and I look through the window, there's my farm, there's my pickup truck or whatever. That's all gone, wiped off, wiped away, washed away. No comfort for them. And you saw those old Edomites, those old crackers there. A lot of them are up in age, and you guaranteed, back in their time when they were children, all right, depending on their age, if they're at least 18, 90 or whatever, and when they were probably maybe 7 or 8 years old, they probably saw a few Jakes lynched, or a few Jakes, being, several, not few Jakes. They saw many Jakes, get hurt, get deleted, get treated like SHIT. All right, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, man. I'm just saying, I'm being quite nice with my words right now. All right. Jeremiah 30:23. Behold, the whirlwind of the Lord Yahweh Shemashai goeth forth with fury, a continuing whirlwind. It shall fall with pain upon the head of the wicked. All right.
South and Midwest, it left some areas underwater after.
Big concerning this morning from officials. South and Midwest. The death toll rising, at least 20 people since last Wednesday. The latest victims, responding to hundreds of calls from Dyersburg, Tennessee, seeking shelter after a string of twisters struck the area.
There's just been so many
I just want you to see, just show the people that are in that shelter place.
tornadoes lately that it's just scary of the devastation.
All right, you see this proud cracker just sitting there with his walking stick. Look at that. All right, you see one little Israelite girl there, Many devils in that place. Starve your ending, devil.
So many different places.
In Hardy, flash flooding destroying homes, roads washed away, and vehicles tossed by the current. All of this rain falling on communities already reeling from tornado damage. More than 90 tornadoes reported since last week. And since the system moved in,
and I'm going to leave it there. All praise to Yahweh Bashem Yashai Bashem Rakakadash. So the Lord is, gutting out Esau's stronghold piece by piece. And this is nothing yet. We saw the severity of each storm, okay? 5 being the top area, the top range. And there's only a few areas that got maybe 3. The rest were like EF0 or EF1 or EF2 or EF3. Sorry, EF1, sorry, EF0, most of them were. All right, if you go here, it shows the severity. Where is it again? There you go. All right. Where does it mention the severity of the storm? Damn it, come on, speed up a little bit. Yeah, EF. Yeah. That shows that's the severity mentioned here. All right. Anyway, all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yashai Bashem Makakadash. Shalom.